struggle with depression more, but we don't talk about it. I seen a statistic somewhere saying suicide is the third leading cause of death in African Americans among ages 15 to 24, and I mean, that's insane. And those are all problems that can be fixed and be talked about. I seen another statistic that said African American men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than African American women, and that's just African American women. I seen somewhere that African American men have the highest amount of mental health problems compared to any other statistic, but it's just not even talked about. Because it's almost like it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter unless we make it matter. Hey guys, I'm back with another episode of Mental Wealth. This podcast is used to express experiences, thoughts, and past lessons. I aim to be as transparent as possible and to help others who might learn something from it. If you enjoy this episode, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell a friend. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm back with another episode of Mental Wealth. In this week's episode, I plan to talk about depression. Now, for the topic this week, you know me, I try to go around just asking people what they want to hear and what helps them out the most, just because I just don't want to talk about topics I just want to talk about. But yeah, for the most part, people wanted me to talk about depression and how it affects them. For the most part, let me go ahead and dive in. So depression can be defined as a serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems that can decrease your ability to function at work or at home. During this time of year, we have something that's called seasonal affective disorder. This disorder is a type of depression that comes and goes with the seasons, typically starting in the late fall and early winter. This seasonal affective disorder can be caused by a combination of factors, including changes in sunlight, disruption of circadian rhythm, and changes to your brain. Typically, a lot of people struggle with this and don't even realize it. And I know a lot of people that struggle with this. The sunlight exposure is key during the winter months because the days are shorter but the nights are longer. So this throws off everybody's circadian rhythm. So unless you make an effort to change this, or you will definitely be affected by it. And the lack of sleep affects everything we do. Not only it affects everything, all motor function, brain function, everything. I mean, without sleeping, that's literally your brain. That's your body recharging itself. And I know seasonal affective disorder definitely affects people up here because the days just fly past, but the nights are extremely long. I find myself, I'm not even getting enough sleep. Some nights I might be up to 2 a.m. being a nerd. So I can only imagine how it is for the average, for the person who lives here and who's from here and who's used to this. It definitely affects you. And I've also noticed that people don't understand depression at all. There's a difference between being diagnosed with depression and experiencing depression. Experiencing depression is mainly the depressive symptoms. You might have feelings of sadness, loss of interest in your activities that you normally would like. Your appetite might be messed up. But that can be caused by a variety of factors. It could be stress. You could have just lost somebody, and it could be a medical condition. Now, being diagnosed with depression, that's a whole different end on the spectrum. When you get diagnosed with depression, that means you've met the criteria for major depressive disorder. This is a mental health condition, so this really isn't nothing to play with. That's why when people talk about depression and the society we live in now, it's so easy to play with mental health because the average person doesn't understand it. It's easy to use mental health as a crutch and play with facts because, I mean, for the most part, even with ADHD and stuff like that, you can go to a primary care physician and they might they might give you the medicine for depression or something like that, or just treating the symptoms. But unless you go to a clinical psychologist, you have not been diagnosed with depression. So there's a big difference. In the society we live in, we tend to treat the symptoms and it doesn't really fix the problem. So I can guarantee there are a lot of people running around here who think they have anxiety, depression, and all this other stuff because they went to their primary care physician and that's what they said. Your primary care physician doesn't have any knowledge in that field also. when you're a primary care physician, they're mainly a generalist. So they have to be well-rounded in a lot of areas. But it doesn't make them a mental health professional. But I think that's been kind of grayed in our society. In our society, I would say everybody thinks they're an expert, and nobody lets experts be experts. It's because it's easy just to, because you can get online and just look up facts and think you have depression just because you looked up the symptoms or something you've been just going through recently. I found that once you tell yourself you're struggling with something, and once you tell yourself you have depression, then you literally tricked your mind into believing it. So now you live according to that. When you have major depression disorder, it's like you've been going through this for an abundant amount of weeks. I feel like your depression can transition into MDD, but it just doesn't start off as MDD. And a lot of people run around now that I find thinking they have the extreme when it's just a misunderstanding of information. And I feel like helping the general public understand this is what will move us farther forward. I know depression in itself, it can make you a prisoner in your own mind. And that's insane in itself. And to even think about this, men struggle with depression more, but we don't talk about it. I've seen a statistic somewhere saying suicide is the third leading cause of death in African Americans among ages 15 to 24, and I mean, that's insane. And those are all problems that can be fixed and be talked about. I seen another statistic that said African American men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than African American women. And that's just African American women. I seen somewhere that African American men have the highest amount of mental health problems compared to any other statistic, but it's just not even talked about, because it's almost like it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter unless we make it matter or talk about it. I'll just talk about my personal account with depression. I would say this happened around what year? I would say either my junior or sophomore year of when I was at Coastal. Damn, I was just really down on myself. For the most part, I've always been a perfectionist. So I would say when I got there, I kind of struggled with not feeling good enough. Well, not really not feeling good enough, but watching how politics works in sports. And like I said before, football was a part of my identity. So it just affected everything I was going through. So what happened this semester? I ended up failing a whole semester. Going into the football season, I was already struggling. I had a struggling relationship with my dad. Me and my mom were going through it too. And I think my girlfriend lost somebody close to her. And I would say it affected me because I confide in her. So I felt like at that moment, I couldn't really confide in her. So a lot of things I just kept to myself. What else? I mean, damn, it got hard. Some nights I would just cry. Sometimes I just had like crying spells and stuff like that. Like, shit. I think when I look back on what me during this time period, I think what made me start feeling the not feeling good and the depression like symptoms was because I just kept all of it to myself, and it just didn't hurt anybody but me. I couldn't even, and then it definitely was the classes I was taking. Like, I was struggling. I was doing, what was it? I was a biomedical engineer. Like, I'm really to even get this far. And I was just struggling. I was struggling my ass off. I was going to tutoring. I get my ass chewed out of all practice and shit. Get out of practice, I gotta go to tutoring and stuff. But I'm literally in there taking, what class was it? Like, kind of calculus and I think like stats or something like that. And I'm literally in there studying my ass off. I'm going to tutoring before practice, after practice, all this shit. And I'm still getting a C on it quiz. The only reason why I'm doing good on my homework is because I'm doing my homework with the tutors and stuff like that. Other than that, I probably wouldn't even pass the homework by myself. So I'm literally just beating myself up from every way around me. And it's just like, I think, and I also learned too, when you're going through things like this and you're trying to talk to family, it can help you, but it can also hurt you. Especially when experiencing depression. I find oftentimes parents, they do nothing but love you. They try their best to make sure they provide the best for you and everything. But I find oftentimes that if you're a child and you experience, parents can tend to take that personal when you express that you have anxiety or you might be feeling like that. Just because parents try their hardest to provide. They try their best to provide the best for you. And it's mainly the best they know how. So they might not know what they're missing and stuff like that, so they tend to compare their experiences with yours. Matter of fact, I just had somebody tell me the other day, they struggle with MDD. So, of course, most people who struggle with MDD, I mean, stuff like that can be passed down, but people don't talk about mental health at all. So they struggle with MDD, and sometimes it's hard for them to get out of bed. And oftentimes they find that they run into arguments with their mom about the situation, because the mom is, you can't just pick and choose when you want to when you can and can't get out of bed, and when you feel good and when you don't feel good and stuff like that. But it's like, there has to be some empathy in that situation, but it's hard to understand when you haven't fixed your own problem. So the mom probably herself has struggled with depression in her past and handled it a whole completely different way. So to see her daughter handling it this way, it probably confuses her that she can't handle it the same way which leads to a whole lot of confusion and misunderstanding in a whole situation. And misunderstanding is not understanding, and that's what somebody in that situation should have. I feel the best thing a family member can do with somebody who's dealing with any mental health problems at all is try to get them professional help. Try to get them the most amount of help as possible. Now, if they don't want help, then that's on them. But if you care about them, try to get them the most amount of help. I also know people who claim they have mental health problems and won't get help. Now, if you are one of those people, you can't use this as a crutch, because you don't want to help yourself and you don't want to fix any relationships around you. So you're not only destroying yourself, but you're destroying other people. So if you're one of these people, I hope you fix yourself. Ways and resolutions I want you guys to take with you. Set small goals with reasonable expectations. Don't feel the need to set the bar really high, because it's really hard to show up for yourself sometimes. If your motivation is low and you can't get out of bed, just start the day by getting up and opening the blinds and letting light in. The little things matter, and this is just the first step. It'll also make you feel better. I know for me, getting fresh air helps me, and creating a great daily routine also helps me. And I would say what helped me get through my situation was when I finally talked a lot and talked to my friends about it. And I found out they were experiencing the same thing, or they had experienced similar things like about it. And I also felt like I got to my lowest point. I felt like I let my depression at that moment beat me up so bad, I kind of got to my lowest, so I feel like I didn't have any lower to go. And other people might not get to this point, but if you get to this point, it can definitely help you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna be back with you guys for another one. Peace.